Hi, this is Tim Hinton from Marching Arts Education and the Marching Roundtable podcast. The marching world recently was very sad the passing of James Pluth, and we all miss him very much. As part of our coverage of the BOA events this fall, the Walton High School Band reached out to us to have a conversation about James, who was a very important part of their design team and their whole band family. As part of that interview, I spoke with James's wife, Dr. Lindsey Schueller, and she gave me permission to share that interview here in the long form. We only were able to share a short portion of it on the actual broadcast, but here is the entire conversation I had with her, which I think all of us who knew and loved James will enjoy hearing. Thank you, Lindsey, for talking with me. I just had such a wonderful conversation with the staff. I mean, of course, they talked about how much James meant to them, and they told some stories, one involving like pulling a couch apart and throwing it out off the balcony.
Yes.
Do you know that story?
Yes, I do.
Which seems like the most James thing ever. But anyway, that was so funny. So they loved telling stories, and I loved that part, that they had all those stories. You guys have worked at Walton for a long time, and they talked about what a big part of
Yeah,
the family you guys were there.
yeah. He started working there, gosh, 10 or 11 years ago. I joined in 2018. So he was the one that brought me into the Walton family. So that they've been absolutely incredible during all this. So
They absolutely have. They talked about how they're taking care of their students, which I thought was just wonderful through
yeah,
that. But that, again, I loved that they told some of these great stories,
yeah.
and that they talked about the impact he had. Do you want to say anything to the family at Walton?
I appreciate it. I don't know.
And I'm sure to all the people, all of James's fans all over the country and people that were impacted by it. I know you've had a lot of
Yeah,
notes and people really reaching out and showing how much they care.
yeah. It's been honestly incredible just to see the number of people who are just ready and willing to circle the wagons, as someone put it. It's just a testament not only to the band community as a whole, but I mean even smaller than that, just the Georgia folks, or I'm from Michigan, and so a lot of them have been reaching out, and the Walton people have been incredible, and not even just the Walton band people, like just I substitute teach at Walton sometimes, and I mean the principal, she sent a really nice card. There was just like people stopping me in the hallways just to express their condolences and that they're thinking about me. So it's been pretty shocking in some ways, in a good way, obviously. But yeah,
Yeah, it's nice to be reminded of all that, and it does make us think about what a great community we have in the marching arts and all the different ways that we connect. Because I think you're being very aware of all those connections right now.
hmm yep, yeah, and it's a lot. I mean, there were people who were just like ready and willing to get here at the drop of a hat, because James was always in the middle of some project. There was never an end to a James project ever. Like I'm sitting here at his desk, and there's like a circuit board right there that's like, I don't know what this does,
Well,
but
that's one of the ways they
that's how
described
everything
him.
is. And
Yeah, they
uh,
described him as always having the next great idea and always having all that energy and
yep,
excitement. I think that's really cool. Like, was he
yeah,
like that all the time? Like just always full of the next
yep,
thing?
yep. And I mean that's part of the reason that he and I worked well. Like you really can't pull apart the fact that we work together and we're married. Like it was all just so intertwined. But even if I could do that, that's why he and I just worked well together, because he was the ideas and the dreamer, and I was the doer. So whatever he wanted to get done, he would just rattle off the biggest, best crazy idea he could come up with, and it was just like, hey, can you do this? And I was like, yeah. So that's just how it worked.
I love that you said that because they said that's exactly the way he worked with them. Like Ron, you know, the main roadie at Walton was
Mhm.
talking about, he just said, I need you to do this. And that was like, here's your task, go. You know, and then everybody would because his energy was so infectious.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I mean, even stuff around the house. I mean, we have our Disney fountain show that we made during lockdown just because we had nothing else to do.
Wait, what
Uh,
is this Disney? Tell me about this.
so we bought this house in the beginning of 2020, um, and then obviously everything came to a screeching halt, and you can't you can't have James doing nothing. Those things don't go together. And so in the side yard, there's this area that was already pretty low, and it was just collecting water, and it was kind of swampy looking, and it was not great. And so we were just like, okay, if it's collecting water anyway, I guess we'll just make it collect all of the water. And so it was already pretty dug out. We cleared all the trees out. We had already made a fire pit back there, and we made a pond. It's like 50 foot by 50 foot, but it's like ridiculously large for a
That is
pond.
really big.
But we were putting koi in it and all of that, so we kind of got around some of the neighborhood or the county fencing laws about pools because it's not a pool, it's a koi pond. Um, but from the beginning, he wanted to do a fountain show with complete with lights and sounds and colors and lasers, and it all started with this little kiddie pool in the backyard, and he figured out how to um, hook everything up and sync it with Disney's World of Color show that they play at California Adventures. And so he modeled all of it after that. And I do have a video of it. It took a long time to get a video of the whole thing and not have like a car driving by or whatever. But um, I'm
That's
surprised.
amazing.
Yeah,
That is like such a James story too. Like,
yeah,
like who does that? You know what I mean?
right.
Like,
And then to add to it, we have I thought I had one around here, but there's in Disney you can buy like mouse ear hats that there's lights in the ears and they're called glow with the show. And there's different things that also can do that, but it's through infrared. And so he learned how to program infrared and put receivers everywhere. And
amazing.
yeah, and it was just because the whole world said you can't do anything, and he was like, well, I got to do something, and so that's what he did.
I love that. You know, I remember somebody was talking about he was at DCI and helping with so much with the, you know,
Hmm.
the recording and the miking of all that stuff that was going on. And he was
Yeah.
running from here and running from there. And I just said, yeah, that's James.
Yep.
That
Yep.
in that amount of energy. And he wanted everybody to sound fantastic. And he was the guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Because anything less is not him.
That is absolutely true. They talked about the fact that they're doing a show about the Haunted Mansion at Walton, and they said, is that his favorite ride?
Yeah. Yep.
Love that. Who doesn't love the Haunted Mansion?
Yeah. He wanted to do a Haunted Mansion wallpaper.
It's the best wallpaper ever.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and his voice is actually in the show.
Really?
He would always he would always do this. Because like even where I'm sitting right now is essentially a recording studio, like his computer and all of his stuff. Um, and in lieu of until he got some other voice to be recorded, he would always record himself doing whatever narration he wanted, or what sometimes he would sing stuff, and knowing that it wasn't going to be the final thing. But in part of the show, we're playing "Show Yourself." It's from Frozen 2, but it's based on the arrangement that Bhaktiv sung. And at one point, he whispers, "Show yourself," and it's just nice.
That's very cool. So if we're watching the show, we'll know to listen for that.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that, because I'm looking forward to seeing their show, and it's
Yeah.
nice to know that will be in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's been just so many, so many people he's worked with over the years who have been just like immediately, or myself, like just ready to get here and do what they can. Um, like Mike Abel worked with James at Legends before he went on to work at Cavaliers. Um, and they did audio stuff together, and they were just it was James, Evan Kempe, and Mike Abel, and they made Legends into an audio drum corps, a place to go for that sort of a thing. And
True.
they both were like, how can we help, like right now? Like Walton has this whole setup that no one really 100% understood except James and maybe like 2 or 3 other people. And so Mike was just like, I'll be there, and we'll get this up and running and
It's
do it.
amazing. It's great. You know, I never remember seeing a picture of the two of you when you guys weren't either smiling or laughing. You know, like
Yeah.
seriously, like any time I've ever seen one, and that just makes me really happy.
Yeah, me too.
And that was, like I said, when we were talking on the Walton interview, they loved telling those stories. There was one about him getting into an argument with a security guard. I don't know if you were there for that.
I was not, but I did hear about it when he called me. He was just like, yeah, I almost got arrested at Mercedes-Benz. It's like, James, you can't say these things. I mean, you can because you did, but yeah, because they
But
were wanding everybody, and he was just like, I already got wanded. I got the wristband. Like, that lady told me I'm okay. He's like, no, you got to get wanded. And he's like, oh, okay, so you're not going to check this big box of wires? Yep.
That's fantastic. You know, but he's also the kind of guy that can get away with things like that because he's so disarming, you know? So I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's as a friend of mine who she actually marched with him at Bluecoats, and her and I worked together at Boston. She called him a secret softie, that he would always put on this like front of like lots of energy in your face, let's do these things, or like push an argument or like poke someone's buttons, but then like right behind that is the reason why. He just cared.
Right. And the things too, everybody knew. You know, that's what's so great. Like you know, he had that facade perhaps, but everybody knew how much he cared. No question about that. That's what made him special.
Yeah.
One of the reasons. Thank you for talking to me. Is there anything you want to say to anybody that might be watching?
I don't know.
I think you said it. This was fun. I've enjoyed getting to hear these stories and remember him. And of course, if there's anything that we can do, I know you have lots of people reaching out to support you. You know,